So Neha, in this modern society that we live in, we hear animal protein mat khao, seed oils are bad, soy milk is bad, ye wala pani mat piyo, coffee mat piyo, wine mat piyo. Okay,
Yeah.
it's so confusing.
So as simple as that,
Stress can cause diabetes.
independent risk factor for diabetes, irrespective of what you are eating.
I have never heard that before. Why don't people tell you this? I recently saw a reel where Beer Biceps was interviewing Neeraj Chopra. Neeraj was saying how he used to be vegetarian. His trainer told him that he needs to reintroduce animal protein because Neeraj was getting weaker and weaker.
When I heard that, I was so disappointed and disgusted with the suggestion.
So we're seeing a really big rise in the carnivore diet.
Well, that's not entirely wrong. We don't have to live with diseases. Dis-ease, we've normalized that as well today. तुझे stress है, मुझे stress है, we are in the same boat, we are normal. हम दोनों को stress है, पर ये normal नहीं है. We both need to do something about it.
Hey guys, welcome to Kindness with Amy. Today I'm joined by Neha Ranglani, who is an incredible nutritionist and author with over 15 years of experience. She has helped over 40,000 people gain their health independence. Welcome, Neha. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Amy. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I was reading your bio online and it said that you are an integrative nutritionist.
Integrative
if I've said that
nutritionist,
correctly.
yes.
What does that mean?
So, well, as a nutritionist, you always look at what people are eating. That's your first point of focus when somebody comes to you for a transformation or for improving their health.
Sure.
But as an integrative nutritionist and health coach, our focus is not so much on what's on the plate first. It's more about who the person is. Like, what's their mindset? What's their attitude towards life? How much stress are they really taking and how well are they managing it? Are they somebody who really take care of themselves? Do they invest time in self-care, self-love? Or are they just living life, on an autopilot mode? We see a lot of things when we meet the person first and then try to understand which aspect of their life needs help. Of course, diet is a part of it and it plays an important role, but that's not the only thing that we focus on. That literally for me comes much towards the end, because when I go through people's health history form, it's more like, okay, so you're not sleeping well, but why are you not sleeping well? I overthink, I can't sleep. When I hit the bed, my mind is always racing. Then you understand who that person is, what kind of, perception towards life they carry. And then you kind of counsel them, help them with those aspects, and then food, and then exercise. And so basically, it's a 360-degree approach to healing somebody, not just what's on your plate.
That sounds like if I was going to a nutritionist, that sounds like the most logical thing that I would want then, because I would want someone to be looking at me completely holistically rather than just looking at what I'm eating.
Yeah,
that
but
makes a
sadly,
lot of sense.
I think as a nutritionist, the word is so limited and narrowed down to like what you're eating. Oh, okay, how many calories? What's the protein? Where's the protein coming from? And you're always more hyper focused on that when you just call yourself as a nutritionist, or when people perceive you as a nutritionist.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to a person than just what's on their plate and what food they're consuming.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a really big rise in the carnivore diet. You go on Instagram, you go through reels, you see carnivore diet this, carnivore diet that, people eating steaks for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, eating like slabs of butter before bed when they wake up. Can you tell me, as a nutritionist, what is going to happen to their body in 5 years, 10 years' time? Is this a healthy way of living?
Of course not. We are not meant to be carnivores to that level and that extent, because, a carnivore diet is not high in fiber. It's not high in minerals and a lot of nutrients that our body requires.
But they believe that we don't need fiber.
I don't know who believes that. I think these people are living under the rock. Or what is it?
But you know what happens is, from what I've seen, right? Like if you take the steak and butter girl, right? She's very popular online as a carnivore. And she says that after she became a carnivore, her skin became so good, her digestive issues went away, her bloating problems went away, hair became better, blah, 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 like everything. And she's like, everything in my life has improved since I went carnivore. Now, what I want to understand is what is going on, because these people are influencing so many people to also go carnivore because they've seen a couple of positive health outcomes in the short term from doing that. What I'm interested in is the long-term data around what is it doing to your body, because we all know anatomically we're not carnivorous.
Yeah, we are not. And if you look at it logically, your carnivore diet is protein, obviously, and it's fat. So I think primarily what they're doing is going the keto way. Because there's no fiber, there's no carbs, there's nothing that's going in their diet, but it's just protein and fat. And that eventually causes a lot of damage to your gut microbiome. Because this is proven by multiple and numerous studies that your gut microbiome needs fiber to thrive. The good guys in your gut, the good bacteria, the good microbes that actually give you the good skin and the good hair and the good moods, and they take care of your weight and your blood sugar levels and your hormones, is when you're feeding the good guys in the gut, and when they are thriving, and that's when they're producing the butyrate, the propionate. These are the short chain fatty acids that you actually need for your cells to work well, because these influence the cell, these influence the serotonin production in your gut. And also, what about the liver? I mean, come on, if you're going to be eating that amount of fat, who's processing it? That much amount of protein, you need that much stomach acid to even digest it. Today, most people are roaming around with low stomach acids and taking antacids to survive and to sustain, because they feel they have so much acidity. It's actually low stomach acid. And when you eat such a high fat, high protein diet, you need good amount of stomach acid to break down the protein. Otherwise, it goes undigested in your gut and feeds the bad bacteria. So you're affecting your gut microbiome, you're affecting your liver, thereby your moods. Maybe she's just one off who's found great results, but again, who knows? I mean, not everything that you see on Instagram is true and it's real. I mean, what is the proof that everything is authentic? So you don't really know what's going on, and these are very extreme ways
Also,
of being healthy.
it seems very anecdotal, because like let's say she's being honest, right? Because she's claiming that she's been doing it for 6 years. She used to be vegan and she had terrible health outcomes, and then she became carnivore. Now she's super healthy and she's been carnivore for 6 years. Let's assume she's being accurate about it. See, I feel like our bodies are highly adaptable, right? And if you put your body through strain and through whatever, it manages to still get by and still function. I would have thought that if she was vegan, it sounds like she wasn't being a healthy vegan to begin with, right? Maybe she had allergy to specific vegetables, because I've learned I have allergy to certain vegetables. So instead of eliminating all the entire vegetable kingdom, she could have done a process of elimination to see what am I allergic to, that my gut's reacting to, or that I'm having a problem with, right? And so I would imagine from a just a common sense perspective that by taking out all of the fiber and all of the vegetables, because it's put less strain on her digestive system, that would be why the bloating has reduced and the face is cleared up or whatever. But to me, this sounds like a very short-term results.
Yes.
I'm interested in 20 years. Like, what's going to happen to all these carnivore people? Like, they're all going to come crawling back and sneaking vegetables on their plate. And
I think they'll have to, because again, like I said, who's going to feed the gut microbiome? It's only the fiber that feeds the gut microbiome. And then, of course, you have to support your liver. And when you talk about, okay, she's saying, oh, people say you don't need fiber. That's completely crap. You need fiber, period. Fiber is a savior for your blood sugar levels, for your gut, for so many things, for your cholesterol, for actually releasing the excess metabolites of your hormones and stuff, because of which you get cancers. Because if you're not excreting them from your body, you have all the hormone dependent cancers, your breast cancer, uterine cancer, ovarian cancers. And no one's talking about that. And fiber is like gold for preventing cancers. And minerals. Where are you getting your minerals from on a carnivore diet? Like, where's the magnesium coming from? Where's the chlorophyll coming from? Where is your, the micro minerals that you find in your plant kingdom? Where is all that coming from? We're not getting that. And minerals are so vital for great health. Like, we're always hyper focused on protein and carbs and fats, but barely anyone's talking about a whole gamut of minerals in your diet. Where is that? Like, I literally focus a lot on my clients' mineral intake, because I'm like, listen, if you don't take the minerals, even your protein and your fat and your carbs are not going to work, because every cellular reaction needs minerals. And where's that coming from?
So नेहा, जब प्रोटीन की बात आती है, we see all these videos online जहाँ पे लोग कहते हैं कि अगर आप नॉन वेज हो, आपको इतना थोड़ा सा चिकन खाना है, आपको प्रोटीन मिल जाएगा, फिर आपको इतना सारा दाल खाना है to get the same amount of protein. As a nutritionist, what do you have to say to that?
Well, that's not entirely wrong, because it's a given that plant foods are high in protein and they have complete protein, right? But the best part is your body doesn't need so much protein at one time and does not need complete protein all the time to give you the protein benefits in the body. What it needs is a balanced diet with amino acids. So आपकी बॉडी को एक बैलेंस्ड डाइट चाहिए ताकि आप सारे अमीनो एसिड्स अपनी बॉडी में डाल सके, एंड फिर आपकी बॉडी उसको प्रोसेस कर सकती है, एंड देन इट कैन सिंथेसाइज द डिफरेंट प्रोटीन्स दैट इट नीड्स फॉर डिफरेंट पर्पस, for different body parts. But if someone doesn't want to eat meat or are vegetarians or vegans, then you can have a balanced diet that contains your nuts and seeds and your dals and pulses and grains, and you'll get your amino acids that you need to maintain the protein requirement for your body. Of course, dals, when you talk about dals not being so high in protein, and the fact that you have to eat a lot of dal at one time to get that protein, that's right, because dals have double the amount of carbs than the protein they have. So they are not like a complete source of protein as well, because they lack amino acids like methionine and cysteine. But if you eat dals with rice, then it makes it a complete protein, because rice lacks lysine and dals lack methionine and cysteine. But when you mix it together, then it makes it a complete protein. But yes, dal and rice again are high carb, moderate protein. So they're not high protein foods. But like I said, you do not need high protein foods all the time to get amino acids. You need a balanced diet. So you could add your tofu and tempeh, and you could do chia seeds, and you could do nuts and seeds and amaranth roti or amaranth pulao. That has complete protein. Now, there are certain sources in vegetarian foods as well, and vegans can opt for these sources because these foods contain complete proteins.
I think that's a really good point that you've said, that sometimes when these people are making these reels and they're doing a comparison between this and this, they're looking at like, oh, what's going to give me 25 to 30 grams of protein, bam, in one go. Now, if someone is not going to the gym and specifically training for something, right? If we're just an everyday person who needs, let's say, 1 gram of protein per kilo of body weight, like normal, then throughout the day, whatever normal things you're having would give you enough protein anyway. Like, I've started being more conscious of it. Like, what is my house help making in the morning for me for breakfast? And I'm keeping a note of how much protein is in here. And I realize at the end of the day that I am getting the required protein without even trying. Like, if I was trying more, I would get even more protein. And if I'm training, then obviously I increase the protein. And it's just small things as well. It's like, obviously koi baith ke dal nahi kha raha hai all the time. You will be having dal with some sabji, and maybe you'll put some tofu instead of paneer to make like a nice tofu masala type thing. Ye sab mila ke, you're obviously getting the required protein. In fact, I was reading that 100 grams of soy nuggets is 53 grams of protein. In comparison to chicken, the equivalent chicken breast, it's nearly double the amount of protein. I mean, yes, the calories are higher, but you also don't need to eat so much because it's also double the amount of protein anyway.
Exactly.
So it's really interesting.
Yeah. And also, you have to see if your gut can digest that amount of protein. It's really not what you're putting in your mouth all the time. It's about what your body is doing with it and how it's processing it and making use of what you're putting in your mouth. Most of us are roaming with terrible guts today. Gut issues are like an epidemic today. Everyone has a gut issue.
Yeah.
Whether it's bloating or indigestion or constipation or leaky gut or IBS, it is so rampant today.
Why does everyone have a gut problem? Jisse bhi baat karo is bloated, not having good having digestive problems, this, that. Actually, just across the board, do you find that in this day and age now, people have significantly more health problems than what we used to have?
Of course.
Why is that?
I mean, if you look at our parents, grandparents, if you look at great-grandparents, where were these diseases? We didn't even hear these names. What was PCOS then? What was leaky gut? I mean, did we even hear of them? It's just like in the last 2 decades, we've heard of these terms cropping up. Oh, we have this. Oh, we have leaky gut. And then there's so much misconception around these issues. Like if you ask someone, do you have leaky gut? They say, yeah. And I'm like, okay, how do you know it? No, because I poop a lot. I have like loose motions and diarrhea sometimes. I said, that's not leaky gut. That's diarrhea. Leaky gut means that your gut lining internally is weak and it's leaching stuff into your systemic system circulation, and that's causing problems like autoimmune conditions and psoriasis, eczema, and all the allergies and all the immune issues that you have. So there's a lot of misconception around gut issues. People don't know what it means, and then they're just loosely using those terms and putting themselves into some bracket and labeling themselves as, oh, I have leaky gut, oh, I have IBS. You don't even know what you have. And coming back to your first part of the question, why is it so prevalent today, and why are people having gut issues? That's because of our lifestyle. That's because of our quality of food that we are consuming. That's because of the amount of stress that we are not managing well. That's because of just the way we are living from the time we wake up to the time we sleep. We're not living consciously and mindfully. We're not doing things that gives our body the tender, loving care it deserves. And that's when the body undergoes a lot of stress. Stress is the biggest factor for gut issues.
Is it?
Yeah, because when you're constantly stressed out, you're always at a high cortisol level state. And cortisol in excess can start damaging your gut lining, can start affecting your gut microbiome, can weaken your digestive system, can lower your stomach acid. So you may be putting a good amount of protein in your mouth, but if your stomach acid is weak and you don't have enough of it, it's not breaking it down. And if it's not breaking it down, the bigger chunks are literally going down in your small intestine and large intestine and feeding the bad bacteria and causing all the dysbiosis. And from there, when those bacteria produce all their chemicals and just the way we metabolize, they metabolize too, all the toxins that the bad guys produce, they start affecting our moods. They start affecting our brain, brain fog, skin, inflammation in the body. So you see, it's a two-way street. It's not just what you're putting here. In fact, just about, I think a few months back, I made a reel on why, if you have a gut issue, please cut down on your protein intake. First, heal your gut. Get the gut in like good shape. Start healing the gut lining. Do things that will strengthen your gut health, and then increase your protein intake. Because if you are adding protein in a weak gut, you're doing a big disservice to your gut and your health, your overall health.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Because like my mind just goes to all these carnivore people, right? Who are saying the polar opposite.
Yeah.
They're literally saying the polar opposite. So I wanted to ask you, I recently saw a reel where Beer Biceps was interviewing Neeraj Chopra. Neeraj was saying how, he used to be vegetarian, and due to his training, his trainer told him that he needs to reintroduce animal protein because Neeraj was getting weaker and weaker as a vegetarian, and he had to reintroduce animal protein.
अब वेज हो, मैंने नॉन वेज स्टार्ट कर दिया था। मैं वेज ही था, लेकिन बार मेरा 7-8 किलो वेट ऐसे टूटने लग गया था। काफी मेहनत तो उतनी चल रही थी, डाइट कम थी, तो ऐसे सूखता आ गया था। तो साथ वाले बोले कि नहीं यार भाई, तू कुछ थोड़ा बहुत खा ले, ये चीजें जरूरी हैं।
So as a nutritionist, can you please tell me why on earth would a trainer be telling any athlete that they need to introduce animal protein back into their diet?
I think all the trainers do that.
Yeah.
I have seen it in my 16 years of experience. Every client who comes to me tells me that my trainer has told me to up my protein, start eggs. I'm a vegetarian, but then they're asking me to eat meat because where will I get my protein from? And I have to actually reassure them that it's okay. You don't need to get onto meat. I'll get you the protein and I'll get you the results that you need without turning into a carnivore or without resorting to meat and, without putting eggs on your plate.
Yeah.
This is a very common suggestion in the fitness world.
Why is that? Are trainers not trained on basic health and nutrition?
No, they're trained on basic health and nutrition, and the basic health and nutrition tells you that you need X amount of protein and it only comes from animal sources, which is what I was talking to you about. Like, as a basic nutritionist, you'll always view food as numbers, not as the quality. And then you're only viewing the food. You're not viewing the person who needs to eat that food. What if that person has terrible bloating and gut issues? Then is that food still valid for them? That's the question which the trainers are not trained to ask.
Interesting.
And that is why it's a very generic suggestion that you need to eat this. But that food can actually be poison for one person and can be like an amazing result giving change for another person. So you have to see who the person is. It's not one size fits all. And then, when you talk about Neeraj Chopra felt weak after he went vegetarian, I feel the primary reason is because when you shift your way of eating from like a non-vegetarian or maybe a dairy-based diet, which I think most North Indians are, and Neeraj Chopra is from North India. And if you see the kind of diet people up in the north consume is very dairy heavy. Like, from morning to evening, they are depending on dairy for a lot of things in their diet. So milk, they consume glasses of milk. There's paneer, there's dahi, there's makhan, there's ghee. There's so much that goes into their diet that comes from animals. And if he turned vegetarian, maybe the reason why he felt weak was because his diet was not planned in a way to give him that amount of energy that all the dairy products gave him. So when one turns vegetarian, you're more focused on plants and fruits and, more lighter food, which of course doesn't give you that amount of calories that dairy gives you. So the reason for him going weak was, I can only see that one reason is because his diet was not planned in a way to give him the amount of calories from other food substitutes that could give him the protein and the energy and the nutrients to sustain his training.
That makes sense. So basically, he just didn't have the adequate advice to understand how to plan his diet. So it's not a fair test then, because when people say, I went vegetarian or I went vegan and then I got weak, it's like, yes, but what were you eating?
Exactly. What were you eating? Because Djokovic, when he turned vegan, he had immense energy and more energy than he ever had to play his sport and excel. And become like world champion in his sport.
Exactly. Like we saw from the last Olympics, कितने athletes थे जो 100% vegetarian छोड़ो 100% vegan diet पे are winning gold medals.
Yes, exactly.
So if we see that the body can perform at such an optimum level without animal protein, then that is the proof. Like, what more proof do you need?
Exactly.
But still people will say they took all these supplements and drugs, and I'm like, so are you saying that the meat-eating athletes are also not taking any supplements?
Yeah, like they're doing it all naturally. Like, come on, we all know what's going on in the industry. And I also feel, of course, one size doesn't fit all, which I always say, but you can always test and experiment with yourself about how you feel with more plants and plant-based foods. Say if you don't want to go 100% vegan for some reason, you can at least try going 80% plant-based and do 20% clean, non-vegan stuff or animal foods to sustain your energy if that's what your body requires. But not giving it a shot and not taking the right guidance from a person who exactly knows how to make it work for you, to keep your energy levels up, to keep your protein levels up, to make sure that you're to make sure that you're getting adequate minerals in your diet, which again is very important for energy. Like, we don't realize how important B12 is, or vitamin D is, or your magnesium is for cellular health. So again, it's not just kitne glasses दूध आपने पिए या कितना अंडा खाया. It's the finer nuances which one has to take care of.
Right. So Neha, from a nutritionist perspective, would you say that animal protein is better than plant protein?
Now, this word better is a very gray area. Now, there are different ways to look at it. In terms of composition and protein content, well, yes, okay, animal protein could be superior than plant protein if you consider it as one food at a time. So if you say chicken and if you say tofu, probably the amount of protein that you'll get from chicken will be higher, and lesser calories, lesser carbs from the chicken. Okay. But then if you ask me in terms of fiber and nutrients and micronutrients, is animal protein better than plant protein? No. If you ask me in terms of anti-inflammatory benefits, is animal protein better than plant protein? No. So it's not about looking at a food from one perspective, but looking at it as a whole. So animal protein gives me the protein, but it also is inflammatory. It also doesn't have the micronutrients that I need. It also doesn't have the fiber that I need. But plant protein may have an amino acid profile which may not be as superior as animal protein. But when you take a balanced diet, you get all the amino acids, but you also get fiber, micronutrients, and anti-inflammatory benefits from it. So then what would you choose? Because when you see studies today, if you see T. Colin Campbell and if you see his studies on cancer, it's evident that animal proteins increase the risk of cancer. And plant proteins reduce the risk of cancer. That's only because of the inflammatory, conditions of both the food. Animal proteins increase inflammation and plant proteins reduce inflammation. And today we've realized that inflammation is such a root cause, such a big root cause of so many health conditions, from diabetes to cancer to obesity. Everything is inflammation. So we need to make sure that we are going the anti-inflammatory route and not just going behind the protein.
I was reading online that a vegan on average needs 58% lesser medications when they get older than someone who consumes meat and dairy.
Exactly.
And I found that fascinating because when you speak to your doctor, they'll always recommend the healthy food pyramid, which includes meat, dairy, veggies, etc. But then when you get sick, doctors will tell you, like, if you get cancer, doctors will tell you, oh, you should start on a plant-based diet to support your cancer recovery. But why is it that when you're not sick, doctors will tell you to eat meat and dairy, but then when you get sick, they tell you to stop having meat and dairy and to be vegan?
I actually want to share a story over here. When you say doctors tell you that eat more plant-based on cancer, that's not so true in India.
Really?
In Bombay.
Oh, wow.
I want to share my personal story. Yeah, my aunt, she's detected with stage 4 liver cancer.
Oh.
And she's been to the top cancer doctors in Mumbai. No names taken, but all of them have said, "Jo khana hai khao." And when I heard that, I was so disappointed and disgusted with the suggestion. Because I was like, what are you suggesting people on stage 4 liver cancer in the name of diet? You're saying eat anything and everything that you want. And,
Oh my
and
God.
this side, I'm giving her all the dietary recommendations, and I'm like, no dairy. Of course, she's a vegetarian, but I'm like, no dairy, no gluten. We are going plant-based. We are going to do more plants. We're going to do more fruits. We're going to do more, wholesome natural foods, sprouts and nuts and seeds. And when she goes to doctors tell her that you can eat whatever you want. And that is such a misleading suggestion, because that can just take you so much more closer to your death. Like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
The least you can do is you can say, so we don't take care of the diet, please meet a nutritionist. The least
Yeah.
you could do is, why would you loosely say that eat whatever you want?
Like, this is documented, peer-reviewed facts that we know that animal
Exactly.
products lead
Yeah.
to or encourage as well cancer cells in the body. So why
Why would they do that?
how can ethically anyone
yeah,
say
it's
that?
unfathomable,
That's
right?
wild.
Why would you do that? She also specifically asked them, what about milk and paneer and dahi? Because, normal people, they do, people in Bombay, they're still like very,
Yeah.
very, um, very addicted to their dairy in every meal. And the doctors, I'm not talking about one, I'm talking about 4 doctors, 4 top doctors said, yeah, you can have your doodh dahi paneer, not a problem. And I was like, no,
Wow.
no, the medical system needs an upgrade, and what's going on over here? These suggestions are lethal. Like, why would you do that? And then, of course, you also have to understand that these foods are acidic. Plain basic cancer feeds in an acidic environment. Why would you tell people to eat acidic foods? This is basic knowledge. Like, every doctor gets
Okay,
it when
Neha,
they are studying nutrition.
I really want to ask you about this because I recently shared a reel with Dr. Nandita Shah,
Yeah.
okay, where she was explaining that by consuming, for example, milk, it's harmful for the body because it is encouraging a highly acidic environment within
Yeah.
the body.
Yeah.
And what's happening with that is then encouraging osteoporosis, and people that do generally drink more milk tend to have higher incidences of osteoporosis, which is actually going against what we're taught.
Yeah.
Because we're taught that by drinking milk you're having more calcium, which means your bones are stronger, but that's actually going against. Now, on that reel, we have had so many thousands of comments of people saying that Dr. Nandita Shah is crazy, she's not been to school, she doesn't know what she's talking about, blah blah blah. I really wanted you to clarify this. By consuming milk, is it increasing your likelihood of osteoporosis?
Yes. I'm not saying in everyone, but yes, there are higher chances, especially if you're somebody who has a family history, you're not working out, you're not active, you're not doing strength training, and then you're downing like glasses of milk in a day or consuming a lot of animal products in the name of protein, especially paneer, the fake paneer that you're getting today, and curd and all of that. These foods are acidic. Dairy is acidic for the body. Lemons are acidic outside, alkaline after they are digested. Dairy is alkaline outside and acidic on digestion. Now that's the difference. So when you consume these foods and when the acidic environment in your body increases, the body has to maintain a certain pH in the blood, right? It cannot let it become acidic. So the blood always has to be at a certain pH. So to neutralize that acid, so that the blood doesn't get acidic, the minerals have to come from somewhere. Obviously, if your diet is lacking on minerals, the body is going to use its own reserves to maintain the pH balance in your body. And that is why a lot of people who drink milk and are not living a very active, healthy lifestyle will have their bones weakened over a period of time, because the calcium has to come from somewhere to neutralize the excess acid coming from foods that are acidic on digestion. And who's eating magnesium today? You need magnesium for strong bones. Like, people are always recommending have D3 supplements or, take calcium supplements. Again, that's harming your heart. Excess calcium is getting deposited in your soft tissues and your blood vessels because you don't have enough magnesium, you do not have enough D3, you do not have enough K2. No doctor will tell you take a K2 or a magnesium before you start taking D3 and calcium. All they'll tell you is get on a calcium pill, 500 mg morning and evening. You're taking 1,000 grams of calcium every day without magnesium, without D3 and K2, which makes your bones strong and healthy. Without that, your calcium is nothing. And nobody is giving you that suggestion. Nobody is recommending the right supplements in the right way and the format. So these people are consuming a lot of dairy. They're getting a lot of calcium from their dairy, but they are deficient in magnesium. We all are almost deficient in K2 and D3, especially D3. But for D3 to work well in your body, you need K2. And for D3, to make sure that the calcium gets into your bones and not into your soft tissues, you need K2. But here we are being given 60,000 IU once a week of D3 without any keto. So you see where the osteoporosis is coming from. It's of course your lifestyle, it's your workout, it's your diet, which is very acidic. It's not just dairy. All the processed foods that you're eating, the instant noodles, the cereals, the breads, the pastas, the pizzas. I'm not just blaming dairy here. I'm talking about in general the acidic foods that you're consuming, like maida, sugar, all of that. That's getting into your system, creating an imbalance. The body needs minerals. It's leaching it out from wherever it can, from the bones, from your teeth, so that it can neutralize and make sure that your blood is not acidic. And then over and above that, we are supplementing in the wrong way. Hence, the osteoporosis and osteopenia and arthritis and all of this is at a rise.
So would you say that a whole foods plant-based diet in comparison to a meat and dairy diet is a more optimum way for somebody to eat?
So a whole food plant-based diet is a disease preventing diet. A whole food plant-based diet is a strengthening and a sustaining and a thriving diet in the long run.
Yeah, excellent. So what would you say, as a nutritionist, what would you say are the top 5 sources of protein for someone that does not want to eat meat or dairy?
Tempeh tops the chart because it's fermented, so it's great for the gut, and it's soy. Soy is a complete form of protein. And because it's fermented, a lot of phytic acid and all the anti-nutrient stuff in the soy kind of reduces.
Quick question. Recently said on a reel that soy is terrible for men to have before the age of 30 because it causes them to have hormonal imbalance problems and low testosterone. Is that true?
Low testosterone and high estrogen could be a possibility if you overdo on soy, because it has phytoestrogen, so it balances the estrogen in your body. But if you overconsume it, then it's going to increase the amount of estrogen in your body, which is not good for men. But it's not totally true, because it's the kind of quality of a soy that you're having and the quality of life you're living. Low testosterone in men today is so common, and I have seen it in my practice, and that doesn't come from soy. I mean, not everyone is like eating like a huge amount of soy every day. It's coming from the lifestyle. It's coming from the quality of sleep, the hours of sleep, the kind of training that they're doing or not doing, because men who don't do weight training and are not really using their body in the right way and not lifting weights, testosterone starts reducing because their stress levels are high. The amount of stress that men are taking today, the vaping and the cigarette smoking that's happening, and the alcohol, forget the alcohol, the Coke, the soda, the Red Bull, all the things that you're consuming, these are the things that affect your sperm quality. These are the things that affect your sperm motility and your testosterone levels, because they affect your hormonal balance. So soy, not so much, because who's going to eat so much soy every day? Who does that?
Because literally you would be having, let's say, 100 grams, maybe 200 grams of soy a day.
Exactly.
That's like nothing.
That's nothing. That's nothing, because your body can process it. The body can't process it when your gut health is not good, when your liver health is not good, when you're not sleeping well, when you're stressing too much. That's when the body cannot eliminate the hormone metabolites, and that's when that excess estrogen can cause problem in the body. But it's not the soy per se. It's the lifestyle, and it's the quality of your life and the food and the choices that you're making in your day-to-day life. And that then can affect your health. So if men need to up their testosterone, they need to look into their lifestyle choices.
Okay.
It's not just soy.
Okay, so tempeh is number 1. Then
Tempeh is
4 more.
1. Second is, of course, I like tofu because it's the
Same.
easiest.
That's my favorite.
I love it. Yeah. So one disclaimer when it comes to soy, it has to be organic and non-GMO, because we don't know where it's coming from, and because we are living in a market that serves world food, we don't know where our soy is coming from. So you need to get your soy from a right source.
Yeah.
That's very important. So tofu is nice. It's the best replacement for your paneer. The third would be chia seeds, because very, very convenient. Just you can put it in your water and sip it. You can add it to your porridge. You can add it to your dals as well, for that matter. Very convenient. I love hemp seeds. They're my favorite, because again, you can just top it up on anything. You can throw it into your salads, your soups, your stir fries. They're so small and so tiny and so neutral in taste that they just don't change the flavor and the texture of your food too much. In fact, they just enhance it. And the fifth one for me would be amaranth or quinoa, because I think these are like very easy to source and very easy to include in your diet. So you could do amaranth as puffed, amaranth chickpeas, you get amaranth atta, so you can make rotis, amaranth in the form of pulao, and same way you can prepare your quinoa. So those five
Okay,
foods.
wonderful. So Neha, tell me about, we've been seeing a lot of reels online where new studies have come out that reveal that even a drop of alcohol
Yeah,
is toxic for us.
it is.
Okay, listen. I have grown up in Australia, okay? I've grown up to be a wine lover. Are you telling me that my wine is not good for me?
It's good and bad both. Wine is still good and bad, but
I
alcohols are
was
bad.
just gonna listen to that half. That wine is still good. Okay.
Like you're pretty annoying, but you would like ignore the annoying and keep the pretty. Neha called me pretty.
Exactly. I'm that person.
That's the theory. Well,
So why? So explain to me why is it that I can understand that there would be lobbyists in the alcohol industry that have kept real information away about how harmful alcohol might be for us. But can you explain why is having any alcohol bad for our bodies?
because it's a neurotoxin. It's a gut toxin, it's a liver toxin. Your alcohol is a concentrated source of calories and sugar, no nutrients. And for your body to process something like this, it has to shell out its own nutrients to let it out of the system. Because inherently your alcohol doesn't have anything. That's why I said wine is still better, because it has antioxidants. But alcohol directly gets into your bloodstream, gets into your liver has to do the work. And if your liver, poor guy, is anyway struggling, which most of our livers are today, because today a lot of people have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease,
Yeah.
which is we've seen it in people who've never had a sip of alcohol in their life, like teetotalers, have never tasted alcohol, but they have fatty liver. Again, where does that come from? Lifestyle, the food choices, the amount of stress, lack of activity, a lot of other things. So if you're consuming alcohol and your poor sluggish liver has to now detoxify that, it cannot. So the alcohol starts damaging your liver because it's not getting a way out of your system. And of course, it irritates the gut. It's like your gut microbiome is anyway struggling. Who has the best gut microbiome today? Very few people. So that's anyway struggling. When you drink alcohol, again, it's feeding the bad guys. And it's a neurotoxin. It affects your nerves. It affects your central nervous system. So it is toxic.
I was reading that it's a grade 1 carcinogen
It
as
is.
well,
It is.
which is shocking. So it's proven that it literally causes cancer. It's not that it might cause cancer, it does cause cancer.
Yes, it does. It does in so many ways, because your cells are struggling to throw the toxins out, but then you don't have good amount of detoxification abilities. Your mitochondria is suffering. You don't have good autophagy. Your cells are not cleaning themselves up because of the other things that you're doing in life. And then when you put in alcohol, that's directly affecting your cells, and it's causing again, it's acidic for the body. It's acidic. So you're creating an acidic environment. And then the cells are struggling. They cannot. And that's when they turn into cancer cells, because they're not able to detoxify.
Right.
So if you have a good lifestyle, if you're somebody who's really taking care of themselves and, you're enjoying a drink once in a while, I won't say that's so wrong. See, because we're social beings. We live in a social setup, and we need to have some sort of social connection. I mean, for me, kombucha is a social connection. Like I connect with people on kombucha. I don't need alcohol. But if you're somebody who really wants to have a good time, maybe on the weekend, and have a drink or two, make sure you do that to your body only if you're living a great lifestyle and your body is detoxifying well and you are giving your body all the love and care it needs. But because if you're not doing that and you're doing this, it's abusing your body in so many ways. And then you expect your body to work, have the best body, have the best skin, best hair, best libido, have a great sex life, have all of that not happening.
Yeah.
The imbalance is going to be a very, very clear repercussion of your lifestyle. And the imbalance is then going to manifest as a disease, which is dis-ease. which is not a normal way of living. We do not have to have diseases. We don't have to live with diseases. We've normalized that as well today.
It's normal to get sick when you're 50, 60.
It's normal to have diabetes. It's
Yeah.
normal to have thyroid issues. It's normal to have bone problems. It's now, I think in some years, it'll be normal to have cancer as well.
Yeah. I would say it already is.
It is. People are normalizing cancer. Oh, cancer. हाँ, बहुत लोगों को हो रहा है अभी. बहुत लोगों को हो रहा है अभी. You gotta take care of yourself. I'm not saying it's in your hands. It can happen to anyone. I mean, any one of us could be prey to cancer, but at least what are you doing with your body? Take care of that.
Yeah.
We can't control the outside, but we can control what's in our control. We can't control the pollution. We can't control, the way people treat us, but we can control how we choose to forgive, how much we choose to let go, how much we choose to take care of ourselves, how much we choose to think positive and be happy and be in the moment and be content with our life. We can choose all that. We can choose to control the kind of food that goes on our plate, choose to control the kind of alcohol and the amount and the duration and the frequency of it. All that is in our control, which we will have to do anyways if we don't do it now.
Yeah.
Life has its own ways to teach you lessons. So eventually you will someday have to get to that point where you will be forced to take care of yourself, but it will be because of a fatal disease and not out of the love
Catch
for your
up with
own
you.
body.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because you will have to. Why do you have to get to will have to? Why don't you do it today?
Yeah.
That is the point.
I think that's the condition of human nature, though.
Yeah.
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 So something you were talking about before, like with the alcohol thing, I feel that it's such a social thing that so the older I'm getting now, the more cognizant I'm becoming of alcohol, that I am really reevaluating my relationship with it. And I'm just like, I don't think I can be that cool girl that just has one glass every Friday night. I can't. I'm a very, I'll have a few here, I'll have some cocktails here, have this. I can't just do one. It'll end up being a lot. And because my capacity is very high, I don't really notice any aftermath. I don't really get the hangovers, whatever, because I'm so used to having it. So I'm very cognizant that it's all or nothing now. Like, it's gotten to a point with me now that I've been genuinely thinking, you know what, I think it's time to let it go completely and really reevaluate that whole thing and start this new journey of alcohol free. And I've started trialing going out socially to very alcohol centric get-togethers and just saying no to alcohol. And what I have found as a social observation is that firstly, people just start laughing if I say I'm not drinking. And then they'll start to say that I have to have. How can you not be having, just have one. Just have one and nurse it the whole night. But nobody does that. No one's having one and nursing it all night. You have one, you're having a second, you're having a third. But it's the social pressures around these unhealthy habits. Like, why is it that if other people are drinking, they need you to drink? It's like, you just enjoy your drink now. Why put this pressure on the other person? They should be celebrating that someone is not drinking.
I think it's all about fitting in. Everyone wants to fit in. Nobody wants to feel like the black sheep of the group. So I don't drink. But when I see people who want somebody else to drink on the same table, I think it's coming from a space to, to feel like a camaraderie and to feel like, we are the same bunch. Like, you're not like separate, and you won't judge me for what I'm doing, because if you're doing and I'm doing, then there's no sense of you judging me. And also, I think people do give into the pressures to fit in. They want to fit in the group.
Of course. I mean, again, that's human nature, right? It's like, I remember I was on a date once. Like, I was on the other side of the fence because I was on a date with this guy and he doesn't drink. And so he just had water. And I felt weird and maybe wrong for ordering a wine.
Yeah.
Because I felt like, if you're not sharing it with me, then like what's going on here? I felt really weird having a wine around someone not having a wine also. So that's just a very, I guess, obvious example that it is such a social thing. You do have that camaraderie when someone else is doing it and you feel, So you have to have a very strong resolve, I think, in letting something like that go to deal with the social pressures.
Yeah, and I think you the other person who's drinking, and if you don't drink in front of them, I don't know if it is that, because I think I should ask somebody who drinks and really drinks heavily, and what would they feel if somebody across them on the same table does not drink. I think it makes them feel small about themselves some
Yeah,
way.
or maybe
Like, am I doing something wrong? Like,
deep
I'm
down.
drinking, and like, why is he not drinking? Is he too good? Like, what's going on? Like,
yeah,
I think it's very psychological.
I think it's
like
psychological.
it's like
Yeah.
okay. I don't know what it triggers in people and what it brings up, but it
Yeah.
definitely brings up something that people feel very uncomfortable with. That's why they want you to give in.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah,
exactly.
that's true. I have a lot of clients who come and tell me that, Neha, but how do I sit on the table without a drink? I'm like, how do they know? I mean, you can just order for like a mocktail or a nimbu pani and just tell
Yeah.
them there's vodka in it, right? I mean, you can do that, and how would they know? And fake it. It's at the end of the day, it's your
Exactly.
body, right?
I
So
think that is the way to go about it. Just fake it. Yeah.
just fake it till
Yeah.
you eventually, till they are ready to hear
Yeah.
that you are not drinking.
Yeah.
Till they are ready to accept you. And if they
Yeah.
don't, find a better group. I mean,
Yeah.
your vibe attracts the tribe, right? And
Exactly.
you can have a better tribe.
Exactly.
What are you going to sit with people who drink anyways after a point if you're not drinking? After a point, I think they all lose it. So I'm not sure if
Exactly.
you even have a connect beyond a few
Yeah.
drinks.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
and I think also with alcohol, it's very important to understand why are you consuming it. People don't ask this question to themselves, like, why am I consuming it? What does it make me feel? It's a very autopilot habit. You got into the habit of drinking, now suddenly you're an addict, you want it every weekend, you don't know how to enjoy without a drink, or you don't know how to enjoy without alcohol. But that is something that you've got yourself accustomed to. And now you don't know why you keep drinking it. Like you rightly said, you don't feel high because your capacity is really good. Then why were you consuming?
So my brain automatically associates relaxation and enjoyment with having alcohol.
Exactly.
Oh, what! Can't wait to go have that wine after a long day, for example. Like, oh, I can really wind down once I have that wine.
Yeah.
And I'm understanding that it is genuinely an addiction because my brain is like only associates relaxation, not only, but it does associate relaxation with wine.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the morning coffee. If I don't have the morning coffee, I will genuinely have a headache. And the headache goes away once I have the coffee.
Yeah, because that's a withdrawal symptom.
That's the
So I've
withdrawal
had
symptom.
clients who have like 10 cups coffee in a day and now
Yeah.
down to 0.
Yeah.
But it was a journey.
Yeah.
It was a process. And boss, there's a huge disclaimer that I give them. So listen, you're going to literally abuse me when you're going to get that headache, but you need to do it for your gut, because I've had clients on like with H. pylori infection and ulcers in the gut and all of that. I'm like, you can't be having coffee. I can't heal you. I can't help you out if you're going to be consuming coffee, because it clearly irritates the gut. So no matter what I give you, it's not going to heal the gut, because you're consuming like cups of coffee in a day, and that's damaging it. So you're completely going against the entire process. And when they do that, they literally come back telling me, Neha, I don't know why I was consuming so much coffee. Like now I don't, and I'm good. I'm like, it's an addiction, because like you rightly said, you associate something,
Yeah.
a feeling or a reward with that particular addiction, and then you don't know how to feel that feeling ever with anything else. It's always that, and you don't know how to feel that ways.
Yeah.
The relaxation. There are so many ways to relax. There are so many ways to unwind. But for you, it's the alcohol. The first thought is, oh, it's alcohol, because it gives you that dopamine, that, okay, it's going to give me my that reward feeling. I'm going to feel calm, relaxed after I have that.
Precisely. Yeah.
Yeah. And also a lot of addictions come from a space of not wanting to face their emotions. People are addicted. It's not just alcohol and coffee. It's sugar, it's tea. There are a lot of things, that people are addicted to. Binge eating. It comes from a space of not wanting to face your emotions, because you want to numb them. You don't want to face them. You don't want to confront the darkness that's coming up. And you want to run away from them.
So it sounds like I need a therapist more than anything. Don't we all?
I think we all need a therapist. I think from like even kids, I think therapy should be a part of school, colleges, and every organization, because it's not a stigma anymore. You need to talk out to someone who can understand where your subconscious patterns are taking you, and what are the things that you're doing with yourself, where they're coming from. I mean, we all need to, pluck it out from the root to understand why we are behaving the way we are behaving, to become better citizens and better people in this world. And I don't think there's anything wrong about that. You need to seek help if you need to. I've sought help. I needed a therapist 2 years back, and I was like, listen, I'm going mad in my head. I don't know what's going on. So I asked a friend, and she's a therapist. She said, okay, we'll sit, we'll talk. We spoke out. I had massive anxiety. It's like, where's this coming from? And then we understood the subconscious patterns and what was triggering me and all of that, and worked on it, and it got better. So what's the harm in seeking help? It's the most bravest thing you can ever do. Is seek help.
Absolutely.
So you also need to understand, where's the addiction coming from? Is it something that... So I've had people who say, you know what, no, I can't without alcohol. I said, what will happen? You won't die. No, I just can't think straight. For them, it's like they can't, because then, I think they can't put it in words, but it's about their emotions. They can't face their emotions. They can't feel their feelings. They don't want to feel their feelings. So they want to numb themselves. So alcohol does it in the most beautiful way, quickly, few drinks and you're done. So
interesting.
And then again, you're suppressing emotions, right? Because you're not feeling them. And then you're putting alcohol, which is adding more toxicity. So toxic emotions and toxic alcohol, it's like...
I think the more...
Your body full of toxins.
The more health information that's coming out about it, I think that's really helping people to have very strong clarity around alcohol. It's not just empty calories. There are many more facets to it. So I think that is what's helping shape that narrative to start really rethinking it for so many people, including myself.
Absolutely.
So I wanted us to do an exercise where we respond to a couple of ridiculous claims and reels that people have been making.
Let's do it.
Look at the caveman days. Were they looking and scouring for greens to pick? No, they were eating meat and they were very healthy. I mean, just look at the body types throughout the years too.
I think cavemen were eating a lot of nuts, flowers, fruits, seeds, roots, because they were eating natural food, and then they were eating meat as and when needed. It wasn't only meat. They were eating a lot of plants. So I'm sure she's not got her facts right.
And wasn't their average age of death like 33 as well, cavemen? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, doesn't make sense at all. You used to damage your body and brain by being vegan, and now you eat cold, right? Greasy meat.
Like, who are these people?
Who are these people? I mean, why would you eat cold, greasy meat to feel incredible? Like, who feels incredible on...
I feel like these people are like the flat earthers of the food world. Like, how are they real? I just don't understand.
I mean, okay, you could be liking meat, but you can't say that when you are not eating meat, you just don't feel good about yourself. I don't know what are they doing wrong that they don't feel good when they don't eat meat. Because plants instantly make you feel better, and I've seen it in my practice. Even the most hardcore non-vegetarians, when they eat more plant-based food. I'm not saying I make everyone a vegan when they come to me, because I have to respect people's choices as a health coach. But even doing more plants than what they were doing before they came to me just makes them feel better. They have better brain, brain energy, thinking capacity, no brain fog, better concentration. They feel better. So I don't know what these people are talking about.
Okay, so Neha, in this modern society that we live in, okay, we hear from this nutritionist, that nutritionist, animal protein khao, animal protein mat khao, this is bad, that's bad, seed oils are bad, soy milk is bad, this is good, it's so confusing. And now microwave is bad, ye wala pani mat piyo, aisa pani piyo, this, that, right? Coffee mat piyo, wine mat piyo, okay.
Yeah.
How do you navigate modern society and still live a regular life, but try and eat as healthily as you possibly can? How do you know how to navigate and who is being honest and where to go? It's so confusing.
So as simple as that, take care of the state of your mind and do things in moderation. Your body is a super intelligent machine. It will know exactly how to deal with it. Deal with everything that you're bringing onto it. It will have its way out in the best possible way. You just take care of your mind and don't overdo on wrong things. That's very important.
It just seems like on a very basic level, if we try and opt for whatever nature has provided, that seems to be the safest bet on everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like trying to be in better air quality, having less stress, having calmer mind, eating whole foods in their most natural source as much as possible from high quality soil, having good night's sleep, all of these things that are just bringing it back down to basics, which seems so logical when you say it like that.
Yeah, but it's logical, but it's forgotten today.
Yeah.
And we have to get back to our roots.
Yeah, absolutely.
To live a better life. And I think we are getting there slowly and steadily. People are propagating about it and talking about it. And I think that's great.
Can you please tell me, what is the connection between having ghee, makhan, doodh with diabetes?
Inflammation, especially doodh, and the makhan that you're getting today is not makhan anymore. It's not the makhan that we made at home with churning the milk and the curd. It's not made like that. It's made with a lot of chemicals and additives, and it's also saturated fat. So milk and dairy products contain saturated fat, and in excess saturated fat is our cells have this thin layer of fat, the phospholipid layer, which is a fat layer, and it's very pliable. It can move. It's supposed to be pliable.
Okay.
But when you start consuming these saturated fats, the layer on the cells becomes thicker. Because these fats don't contain omega-3. Now, the only fat that's really pliable and helps our cells to be more fluid is omega-3. To have the smoothness and the fluidity of the cell to allow the nutrients to pass. Now, that happens when you consume good amount of unsaturated fats, but especially omega-3 fatty acids. And when you consume a lot of dairy, you're consuming a lot of saturated fat that lines your cells, and that makes your cells very rigid. And that increases the chances of insulin resistance, because it's like the receptors for insulin are on your cell lining and the layer, the outside layer. Now, it's like the lock fitting into the key. So the lock is trying to fit in, but this is such a thick layer that it can't get to the key. There's blockage on the lock. So the key can't fit in. Can't open it, can't put the glucose in. So that causes insulin resistance. And also, like I said, the amount of toxins and the antibiotics and all the hormones that are getting into the milk, they are highly inflammatory. And that inflammation increases insulin resistance. So your cells are really, these poor guys are always taking in stuff from outside, getting into them. So they have to be very vigilant what's coming in. So if there's a lot of toxicity and inflammation around in the body, they'll shut down. So they'll be like, I can't let this enter the cell. Body in its wisdom is always trying to protect us. Always.
That's so interesting, because when we think about diabetes, straight away, hum sochte hain sugar. Straight away. But if you're saying that animal products like milk and butter and ghee are high in saturated fat, and cause inflammation in the body, which is directly then causing diabetes.
Yes.
All of us who grow up eating meat, dairy, eggs, all saturated fat.
Yeah.
So then when we look at the data, it's making sense why in India we have such a high degree of diabetes in correlation with the high degree of dairy consumption. But when you ask anyone, people will say the reason why Indians have such high diabetes is because of the amount of carbs. So they'll say that vegetarians have high incidences of diabetes because they eat so many carbs and they have so much sugar. Omitting dairy from that entire conversation.
What the thing with dairy is also, it contains IGF-1, which is insulin-like growth factor 1, which is like a growth hormone that also increases insulin resistance in the body. So we definitely don't want hormones from the animal because it's not the same profile. The hormone profile of a cow is very different from the hormone profile of a human, and then that also causes a lot of disturbance in our own delicate, intricate balance of hormones in our body, and that eventually also leads to insulin resistance. But like you rightly said, it's always considered that Indians get diabetes, or they have diabetes because of carbs and sugar, which to an extent is not wrong, because the amount of carbs and sugar that we consume, a high carb diet and a high sugar diet. By a high sugar diet, what I mean is white sugar, refined carbs, maida. If that's high, it increases the triglycerides in your blood, and high triglycerides, high cholesterol eventually leads to metabolic issues and insulin resistance. So indirectly, yes, but we always completely miss out the saturated fat factor, and we miss out the bad fat factor in our diet, which is coming from dairy, the cholesterol that's coming from dairy, the hormones that I spoke about that's coming from dairy, which also leads to insulin resistance.
So it's a culmination of all those things.
Everything.
Having, I mean, which is what forms a part of, at least growing up as a child, the
Yes.
foods that I would see being consumed in the household. It would be a lot of maida, it would be sugar, it would be carbs, it would be heavy on the dairy.
Yeah.
That would be what everyone's eating,
Yes.
right? And when you are having that for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, what is that doing to the body? I mean, no wonder people are getting diabetes at age 30,
Yeah.
35, 40 because of what they're eating,
Yeah.
right?
No, but I also want to add about one thing here that's very, very important, and that's your stress. When you talk about people who are 30 and 20 and 25 and, like really below 40 who are getting diabetes, it's more to do with the amount of stress they're taking and not managing it well, because stress is an independent risk factor for diabetes. It can increase your insulin, it can increase your insulin resistance, lower your insulin sensitivity, and worsen your blood sugar level balance in the body, irrespective of what you're eating.
Stress can cause diabetes.
Independent risk
Are
factor
you
for
being for real?
diabetes, irrespective
Wow.
of what you are eating. You could be eating the best food
Wow.
under the sun, but if you're not managing your stress well,
Yeah.
you can still become a diabetic.
I'm always really shocked when I learn more and more about stress, how much it damages our bodies.
Yes.
And it's just one of those things that we really do ignore, because stress forms part of our everyday lives.
Yeah.
Right? And like in schools, especially like in Australia, I don't know about in India, but in schools, we're not taught things like daily meditation. We're not taught things like yoga. We're not taught things that we do actually need to be practicing daily to calm our mind and manage stress and,
Yeah.
deal with
Before
things.
getting to those practices, I think we need stress awareness.
Yeah.
How do you measure your stress? How do you know that you're stressed, you're overwhelmed, you're anxious?
Isn't that what the Scientology people do? They have that stress test. Have
Stress
you seen
test?
that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we all need to do that, because
Yeah.
we all need to learn to gauge our own stress levels.
Yeah.
Are we overwhelmed? Are we in the past? Are we in the future?
Mm.
Or are we in the present moment, just enjoying life or the moment for what it is?
Yeah.
We've not been given tools and techniques to understand our own stress levels.
Exactly.
And stress is a very common word. अरे बहुत stress हो रहा है यार, अरे बहुत stress है. बहुत stress है, तो आप क्या कर रहे हो उस stress का? There's financial stress, there's relationship stress, there is family stress, there's work stress, there are all kinds of stressors that we are surrounded by, but what are we doing about it? So tools is the next step. It's like it's after the awareness. First you need the awareness to even be in, to come to terms with your stress and accept and acknowledge that yes, I am stressed. Then what do I do? How will you even meditate? How will you even, be motivated
Yeah.
to do pranayam or to do yoga or to maybe listen to affirmations if you don't have any kind of awareness?
I guess the
of
problem
stress.
is that a lot of us don't even know that we're stressed.
That's what the same. There's
Do you
no
know what I
awareness.
mean? Like we don't even know, because it's like so normal
Yeah.
to be in a rush, and you have this and you've got that, and
Yeah.
ye deadline, wo deadline, ye karna hai, wo karna hai,
Exactly.
multitasking constantly, always inundated with notifications. So we live in a hyperactive environment.
Yes.
So I don't think we even know what stress is, because what's normal to us
Yes.
is probably a very stressed state but we don't have any gauge to know.
That's what I'm saying. We've
Yeah.
not been taught how to
Yeah.
gauge our own stress.
Yeah.
And we're not aware that we are stressed
Yeah.
because it's become a part of our normal life.
Exactly.
तुझे stress है, मुझे stress है, we are in the same boat, we are
Yeah.
normal. It's
Yeah.
not normal, we both are abnormal, and it's for one to realize, to even tell the other that, look, हम दोनों को stress है, but ये normal नहीं है. We both need to do something about it.
Yeah.
And I think now people are talking about stress, and people are really educating on
Yeah.
stress management,
Yeah.
sleep management. Even if you're not sleeping well, that's a kind of stressor for the body. How many of us are sleeping well?
Yeah.
We are all Netflixing at night, and we all want to like stay up, binge watch shows, unwind, because that's the only time we get to unwind. But if you're not getting your quality hours of sleep every night, next day your cortisol levels are going to be high. That's stress. Multiple cups of coffee in a day is stress, because coffee instantly increases cortisol in your body.
Does it?
Yeah. It increases cortisol.
God.
It causes your adrenal glands to release cortisol.
So wine increases cortisol, coffee increases cortisol, not sleeping enough causes cortisol.
And all of this is stress for the body. So stress
Yeah.
is not just mental. For the body, any kind of stress is stress. It could be physical, it could be mental, emotional, it could be the food you're eating, it could be excess exercise. Working out for 3 hours in the gym. What are you doing to your body? You're not a laborer. Your body is not used to that.
Yeah.
And in the name of workout or having a good physique, you are torturing your body, and the body's like, oh my god, this is so much stress for me, cortisol levels are going up. And then you're like, why am I not losing weight? I work out for 3 hours in the gym. I have had clients and I've literally told them, do not work out for 10 days. Do not. Just go for a walk. Leisure walk. Kid you not, Amy, they've come back with 2 to 3 kg weight loss in those 10 days. That's because they were overdoing on something that was causing stress, and till you don't get the stress down, the body is not going to let the fat off.
Wow.
Because fat is a protective mechanism for the body. It's like protecting you from any kind of crisis, or when it needs energy, when you're not going to give it food, it just knows. So if you're stressing your body out with any sort of activities that you're doing, the body's like, okay, there's a lot of stress, I need to store that fat. I'm not going to let that fat go anywhere because I don't know what this person is doing. This body needs fat as a source of energy in times of crisis.
So if you're stressed, you can't lose weight. I have never heard that before. Why don't people tell you,
You can't
this?
lose
Because
fat. You lose weight, but you lose muscle in stress, but you won't lose fat.
Wow.
Yeah, because fat is a protective mechanism for the body. It has to hold it.
Yeah. Wow.
And also toxins. If your body is high on toxins, it's stored in your fat, because fat is the only organ that doesn't get damaged.
Wow.
Toxins can damage your liver, brain, kidney, gut, everything. But it can't do much to your fat. So it gets lodged into your fat. So when people go on these extreme detoxes and diets and they want to lose weight quickly, there's a gush of toxins into your bloodstream that can then damage your organs. So even the detoxification, even your cleansing has to be done very slowly and gradually. First, you have to open up the pathways of detoxification of your body, your skin, your bowel movements, your urine, your liver. Everything has to be healthy to detoxify. You can't jump suddenly onto a detoxification diet without the pathways being open, because the toxins are going to recirculate and then get lodged into organs and then cause autoimmunity and other problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So,
Oh my God. It's just a whole
yeah.
new world of like learning about stress and how much of a big deal
Stress
it is.
is really big.
Oh my God.
Stress is big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Neha, we often hear a lot of people criticize a vegan diet because they'll say that when you're plant-based, you're missing out on so many key nutrients, and vegans are then having to rely on having supplements, whereas a meat eater does not need to take supplements. So, what do you say to that?
That's not true. I've had meat eaters with absolutely low B12 levels, low iron levels, and I've had to put them on supplements. In fact, maybe more than people who are vegetarians, because of inflammation, they don't absorb nutrients well, or because of their gut health, they're not absorbing the nutrients. So when we talk about deficiencies, it's not about vegetarians or non-vegetarians or vegans or non-vegetarians. It's about how well you're processing the food that you're putting in your body. And when that's taken care of, I've had vegans, vegetarians with good amount of B12 and D3, and non-vegetarians have had to put on supplements. And then of course I've had vegans who've had very low iron and B12. So it's not like it's just these people who need supplements, like the vegans and the non-vegans don't need supplements. Everybody needs it, depending on what their body is processing and not processing. How well they are assimilating the nutrients based on that, and how well their gut is, like in what shape their gut is and how good their gut health is. Depending on that, you have to work on the supplement. I think these days everybody needs supplements.
Yeah.
It's not every supplement, but like an omega-3 is good for everyone, because we are surrounded by inflammatory choices that we are making. It could be anything. It could just be not sleeping well. That also causes inflammation. So taking an omega-3 works well. A magnesium works very well for everyone, because we are all low on D3, almost low on D3. When our stress levels are high, we are using up our magnesium way faster than any other nutrient. Like magnesium is needed for 300 odd functions in our body. So magnesium is low. B12, if it's low, then doing a good quality B complex supplement or multivitamin that contains the active forms of all B vitamins, doing that. And a probiotic, a good quality probiotic works very well for most people, because most of our guts are ruined with the kind of food we eat and the life we live.
Yes.
So it just depends. So these are some supplements which everyone needs, whether vegan, non-vegetarians. And then there are some that you specifically have to work on deficiencies, depending on what deficiencies they are facing or what health issues they are facing.
Right. Okay, so Dr. Ryan had recently shared a reel, and I would love your reaction to this.
सोया लड़कों को नहीं खाना चाहिए क्योंकि उससे टेस्टोस्टेरोन कम होता है.
अंडर एज ऑफ 30 बिल्कुल सही है. 30 के बाद आपका कोलेस्ट्रॉल बढ़ जाता है. सो पोस्ट 40 सोया मिल्क फॉर मेन टू रिड्यूस बैड कोलेस्ट्रॉल. फॉर वुमेन इट्स बेनिफिशियल. फॉर गर्ल चाइल्ड एंड बॉय चाइल्ड आई से ट्राई एंड अवॉइड सोया.
I don't know who said that you don't need testosterone after 30. I don't know where is it written, because men need testosterone, like just the way we need our hormones still, like we are menopausing. Men need testosterone even when they're getting older. And andropause is real. Men also go through andropause, where their testosterone levels come down. But not after 30 immediately. That's much later, at 50, 60, post they are like a certain age. But you need good amount of testosterone. And soy, like I said earlier, in small quantities, if you're doing it every other day, and a good quality soy, say the fermented soy, and you're doing tofu, in your diet, like 100 to 200 grams, couple of times a week, it's not going to do much if you're taking care of the other things in your diet and your lifestyle that are affecting your testosterone more. So stop smoking if you want good testosterone levels. Stop drinking too much alcohol, and start sleeping well, because sleep is very important even for men, for hormonal health, just like it's for women. We need to sleep well for our hormones to work well. Same as with men. They need to sleep well. They need to not stay up till 3 and 4 in the night to make sure that their testosterone is good and functioning well. So these are the factors which work better. I think we're just targeting soy for no reason, a bit too much. I think it's not needed.
I agree. I mean, and also from my limited understanding, soy contains phytoestrogen, not the human hormone estrogen, and that's where people are getting confused.
Yeah, it contains phytoestrogen, which basically works two ways. If the estrogen in your body is high, then it lowers it. Soy lowers it. So that's why it works very well for menopausal men. Yeah. It works very well for perimenopausal women, because they are going through an estrogen roller coaster at that time, and your soy isoflavones and stuff work very well to balance the estrogen because of the phytoestrogens. And when it's low, it supports you with a little more estrogen so that you don't face symptoms of lack of estrogen. So it basically has a dual effect, but it's smart to work in your body as per whatever is needed in your body. So
okay, wonderful.
The only thing we need to take care of is the quality of soy, just because of the practices in the farming industry, the soy agriculture industry. So we need to take care of that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Neha, for joining me and sharing your illuminating insights into health and wellness. I've learned a lot today.
Thank you, Amy. It was such a pleasure meeting you. It always is, and this was really fun.
Thank you so much. Until next time.